Hey Mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're all well and I hope you're having a great day. Today, if you've not guessed, we are back on the Racing Green and we're going to be painting the side of the car, so bit of a sneak preview there. It took me a lot longer than expected and I wasn't feeling well. I'm still a bit bunged up actually, but I'll get there eventually. But it's really coming along nicely now. As you can see, really, there's only the back end to do. And then I've got the bonnet, the doors, the boot, and then it's assembling the car back together. So, like I've said many a times, the paint preparation is really boring. I can't stand it, and it's messy, and yeah, it's time consuming, and I just can't wait until I can clear the garage out, all the paintwork's done, and we can start concentrating on putting the car back together, because I'm sure it won't be long. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Once again, thank you for coming back. I really do appreciate your support and I will catch you again on the next one. Cheers. Right, a bit of close up on the action then. I need to remove these rear quarter lights. I've just done this side, but it's hard work. So they're not like the front and rear screens where you have a fillet-in strip to expand out the rubber. I have done them once before because I've done them on Vinny, but I can't remember what method I used. I think they're much more difficult to get back in again, and I'm sure people say use string, etc. But getting them out is quite difficult. I think one, because the rubber's quite hard, and two, it's quite cool in here. It's 10 degrees. But what I have found is go round, just put something in between so you can get some lubricant between the rubber and the window. I use just watered down car shampoo. Just spray lots of it. You can't have enough, to be honest. It's not going to harm the paint or anything like that because it's just car shampoo. And then you just have to go in. I've been using that on the back and that gives me a bit of leverage. And then you can carefully just go around. Eventually I've got this trim tool in here and I'll just work the rubber out gently as we go along. It's really scary because that glass is bent at the moment and it's like you don't want to go too hard because it will just shatter. So fingers crossed we'll get that out okay. Right, there we go. Probably took me 10-15 minutes to do both sides. It is quite scary because you have to, yeah, it feels like the glass is at the point of shattering, but just it does come out, trust me. This side, spot on. Look at that, that is absolutely perfect. Really pleased with that. So really on this side I've got to get the decals off, I've got to get the door off. There's a little bit more filler work I've just got to do up around here, and then I've got to clean up the inside of the aperture as well, but then we'll DA that all off ready for paint. This side, a little bit of corrosion just started but nothing serious. This bit here is all behind the rubber, but obviously we'll clean that off, treat that, make sure that's all good as well. So, see you in a minute. Right, we're all masked up now. God, my cold is coming back a little bit. It is, I hate masking up, it's really boring and it's really difficult to do when you're doing the entire car, especially the door apertures. I still need to do the bottom, around the bottom of the sills so we don't get overspray there. And I'm just starting to DA off at the moment. Little tip for you, so that's a DA I've got off eBay, works pretty well, but trying to get discs which match up with the holes in it are quite difficult because they're all different. But I found these Festal, in fact Mark gave me some Festal granite 240 grit or 220. They are extremely good. One of those pads took off all that paint on there. Just about to put the second one on. So Festal granite, I thoroughly recommend them. It will save you a lot of time. Right, good few hours later. Always takes twice as long as you think it's going to. And I'm still suffering from the man flu, as you can tell by my throat. Yeah, it's all taped up, masked up. It's been DA'd back. Bits of filler here and there, bits of cure rust, some etch primer over the bits that have rubbed through, and we're pretty much ready for the base coat now, I think. It's really hard to know how much to go into the prep for paint work. Obviously on the flat panels, really important to get it as good as it can be, but on like stuff like inside the top of here and that, I just give it a light key in, because you're never going to see it. Places like inside here, although I'm sure it'll still come out very good. When I've done the front end and wings, I'm never quite sure how much to prep it, and I could have probably spent another couple of hours on the front, but it's come out fine just as it is. I think the primer filler is very forgiving. If you do have any imperfections in it, it sorts it out for you. So the only thing I messed up on is I didn't seam seal inside here, so I've just done that an hour or so ago. I'm probably going to have to give that 3 or 4 hours before I paint it. So I'm going to be painting late into the night tonight, because I want to get the primer filler on tonight. I'll leave the dehumidifier on over the garage overnight, and then tomorrow can DA it back again, flat it back, and then put the base and lacquer on. So I'm pulling another late one on the Mini tonight. I want to get the sides in primer tonight so I can leave it overnight, dehumidifier on so it doesn't get damp in here, and then I'll paint the colour tomorrow. The video went up this evening of the front end being painted, and lots of people ask me why I'm doing it in sections, why I don't paint the whole car. There's lots of reasons for it. One, as I've explained in previous videos, my compressor's too small, so it really struggles to keep up with even just doing a panel at a time, let alone doing the whole car. And what would happen, I think, if I tried doing the whole car, because I've got to pause between each sort of bit to let the compressor catch up, by the time I've got round the whole car, I would be starting the next coat again straight away. I don't know whether that'd be a good or a bad thing, but I think it's better to spray the coat on, walk out the workshop, leave it 20 minutes, come back, do the second coat. It would be continuous if I was trying to do it in one hit. The other bit is space. I mean, my workshop is I've got quite a bit of space in here, and to be honest, I could have quite easily done the sides and the back in one piece. But to do the front as well, I would be running out of room a little bit. You'd have noticed when I've done the front, and I do have a bit of experience from doing Project Bruce, to get it painted properly on the Mini, you need to jack the front up so you can get underneath the front balance and that. So space would be a bit of a problem. Also time, you know, typically I work Monday to Friday. I might go football on Saturday. At the best, I've got 2 days to paint it. So I get 1 day for prep, DAing it all down, any filler work, any primer, and then I need to paint it the next day. You can't put the primer on and then leave it a week, a couple of weeks or something like that, because the primer's porous, it will attract water. So yeah, just not enough time, not enough hours in the day to do the whole lot in one hit. I guess if I took a week off work, yeah, it might be better. And the other thing as well is just, it is mind-numbingly boring. It really is. And breaking it up into sections, certainly for me, makes it a lot more bearable. You know, I might spend 2-3 hours DAing and then a bit of time filling and rubbing back, but I do that in bite-sized chunks. The thought of DAing the whole car in one hit, yeah. Anyway, that's why I'm doing it in sections. With hindsight, it might not be the best way of doing it, but let's see how it comes out. Let's not judge until it's finished. Fingers crossed it's all going to come out okay. But really for me, it's doing it in bite-sized chunks, it makes it a lot easier. Right, can't remember where I got to on the video. Back on it again this morning. As you can see, I'm using 3M dry powder guide coat. I've not used it before, but when I done the front end, I found it really difficult to see where I hadn't sanded. So the guide coat allows you to see any low spots in there, and the powder type is really fine. So if there's any pinholes, slight sanding marks or whatever, it will show up with the guide coat. So hopefully that'll make things a little bit better. Again, I'm feeling really rough today. There are a couple of little bits I've missed, so just a couple of light skims of filler here and there, which I'm just waiting to go off now. And I missed a little bit of seam sealing. But apart from that, I'm going to DA it off now, and then we should be ready for base coat. I did make a right mess up yesterday, so there is half a litre of primer. I used the wrong thinners. If you're going to use a 2K top coat, you need to be using 2K thinners as well, and I've got standard thinners and 2K, and I just grabbed the wrong tin, so I made up half a litre of filler primer with wrong thinners. Would it have been okay? I haven't got a clue, to be honest, but I didn't want to risk it. So yeah, let's get this off, sand it back, and then hopefully we'll be ready for the base coat. Wow, well, I've got to say, just quickly, that makes it so much easier, really does. You can see it's really clear where it has and hasn't been sanded, and anywhere where it needs a little bit more sanding. Yeah, it was 15 quid, that powder dot guide coat, worth every penny from what I can see. Right, it's done. That was an absolute mission. Don't know why, I think just because I'm feeling ill. Not on my top form. But it's come out okay. Let me turn around, let's have a quick look around the car. So, there we go. I think it's about as good as I can expect it to be honest. I'm getting better every time I do paint work like this. There's a few things I forgot. So I forgot to wet the floor for doing the base coat, so that probably didn't help. But I remember to do it with doing the lacquer. Probably the biggest problem I had, this plastic sheeting, it's good. It's very easy to use, but what happens with the primer on the plastic sheeting, not so much with the base coat and lacquer because it stays flexible, but certainly with the primer, when the primer dries overnight and you come in the next day and you put an airline on it, all the primer comes off in millions of pieces and it just gets absolutely everywhere. So you have to airline the whole lot off, hoover it all up, but it's almost impossible not to, when you're spraying, not to be blowing off a bit of dust from this sheeting. So it works well, but I think where you're very close to where you're painting, it's better to use paper, and where maybe you're masking off, you know, like the front end over here or something like that, the sheeting's fine. It does kind of collect dust itself, it's like static, but with the primer, that's a flipping nightmare. I'm not going to do that again. Other side, again, pretty pleased. Now this side, I did get a few little spots of that flaked off primer on that side, so quite annoying, but in the main pretty happy. I do have a run. I've got a run, look, just there, one run. That's all I can find in the whole lot, and that'll be covered by the arch, so I don't even need to do anything about it. It's all looking pretty good. I mean, I always like to get it as good as it can be. I mean, I'd done the base coat, and then I started looking like right up the top here, and I could notice that the paint was a bit dry. You know, probably not going to see it, but you know what I'm like. I mixed up some more paint, make sure that everywhere is covered with paint, so there's no dry spots anywhere as I go around the car. Some of the bits like right in the corner here are really difficult to get to. and like back behind here, but I think I've done pretty well. The main thing I've found with metallic is getting dry spots where you just, you know, you've not quite got enough paint. But I think it all probably looks okay. It's probably a tiny little bit dry down the bottom there, but again, the nice bit about the wheel arches is it hides some of that stuff. But it is really, really difficult to get perfect coverage around the door apertures and that sort of thing. Flat panel's fine. You can go across and you can get really good coverage and you can get it pretty consistent. It's when you get corners and things like that, and that's where you get sags. So yeah. Now, I have been leaving the car sheeted up because, especially like the roof, I'm going to be spraying more bits. I've still got the back end to spray. And then once that's done, the whole shell is done then. So whenever I'm painting, like the doors and that, I can just chuck the car outside. But I'm probably going to take this sheeting off now. One, I want to see how it matches in with the front and how it looks with the roof. I'm just curious. But also, like I say, this stuff, it collects dust. It's like static, but it also harbours dust. So I'll probably sheet it up again for doing the rear end. Let me get all the covers off and let's have a look without all the plastic on it. Right then, that's all the masking tape, paper taken off. So I've not seen it all off for a couple of weeks now, obviously since I've done the roof. Now, bit of a tip for you. I did leave all the front masked up and I thought I'll leave it like that and leave it covered because it will protect it from overspray. But what I found, like round, especially around the windscreen here, because I'd left it on there for so long, when I've tried taking it off, it's actually started peeling the paint off as well. So it's probably better to take off your masking paper and masking tape before it's been on there too long, while the paint's still a little bit soft and hasn't gone fully hard yet. So you see, I'll get a section like this. Luckily that's behind the rubber, but that's literally where I was peeling back the masking tape and it just took it off. Same again down there, that's inside the bonnet. I'll touch that up. But yeah, probably not a good idea to leave masking tape, paper on there too long. I do, obviously, next time I paint, so next will be the back end of the car. I'm just looking at it actually, and you know, there's hardly anything to the rear end, is there? There's not much to spray at all. I've got the bottom of the valance to clean up. That's a bit messy. So, but hopefully it's not too big a job. Probably the difficult bit about the back is it's not a flat panel at all. But thankfully, none of it's really damaged. There's a few little bits of rust which will need treating. Nothing serious. But yeah, I'm super pleased. It's all coming together really, really nicely. Obviously, I've still got doors, bonnet, boot and everything to do, but like I say, it'd be so nice once the shell is done because I can just push it outside. I can do things like put windows back in so it's not getting all dusty and rubbish inside as well. So really pleased with that. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, do consider subscribing, and I will catch you again on the next one. Cheers.